Yeah, brother, your question is an excellent one, but it brings up a deeper theme in the sport. You know, anyone who was around in the early days knows that performance enhancing drugs were a major part of MMA, right? Like for a while. And then it got to the point where they clamped down a little, and they clamped down a little till today, where they're finally clamped down enough. Why are they clamped down enough today? Well, it's because the feds take a look at you. If you remember in the mid '90s, the feds went after Vince McMahon for running a criminal enterprise based on steroids, right? And they lost that trial, by the way. They put a bunch of his wrestlers up. Not all of them, blamed Vince, and really they shouldn't, because they all would have done juice with Vince or without Vince. Vince just happened to be a bodybuilder. So now let's get back to your question at hand, DC versus Cain. Look, when Cain Velasquez was in his prime, he was a steroid machine. It's one of the reasons he was able to do the sort of otherworldly things he could do against other heavyweights. You know, ragdoll them, and he was like only 5'10". He was like a Mike Tyson in MMA, if you will, back then, and he just destroyed people. Conversely, when you saw him come back, when the steroid era ended, he was never the same. You know, his body never looked the same, and certainly his technique never looked the same. Now, DC, conversely, was an Olympic wrestler, right? Now, I don't think he ever wrestled, or so he was an alternate or whatever happened. But the reality was he was very used to VADA and USADA and all this different testing that Olympic athletes have to go through. So DC knew how to deal with that, you know, if he was on juice at all. My cynical thing of human nature says that DC knew what he could take and what he couldn't take. But the bottom line is, when the world in UFC switched and Dana White said, I don't want to become Vince McMahon in the 90s, I better get on this, DC was ready for it, but Cain wasn't. So now you ask, who would win the fight? It's kind of an uneven question, listener, right? Like, if Cain was able to juice out of his mind and DC was doing what he did, Cain would win. If we're going into the new days when, Cain couldn't be on his cocktail of whatever that was, and EPO, I'm sure, and everything else, because when they were on it hard, they were on it hard. Chael saw it in the whole group. John Jones, too, for that matter. But when he was forced to stop, the drop in his game was noticeable. It's one of the reasons I picked against Jones when all that ended. It's also one of the reasons Jones took 3 years off to make heavyweight. It wasn't just the weight, guys. It was getting used to no drugs. But anyway, what is my point? I think Cain wins with the full cocktail. I think DC wins without it. And either way, man, they're both phenomenal athletes, unbelievable fighters. And yeah, there it is. Read my book, Warrior of the Light.